Call to order. I'm just trying to bring up the agenda, so excuse me if I don't follow it directly, but we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Sacramento County Regional Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District at 9:33 a.m. and start with a roll call, please.
Director Bruins?
Present.
Carr?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Howell? Hume?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
McGarvey?
Here.
Natoli?
Here.
Orozco?
Here.
Peters?
Here.
Cerna?
Here.
Viegas? Warren? And Frost?
Of the quorum.
You have a quorum.
All right, very good. Thank you. Please address a flag where you know one's location to be and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Now, if the clerk would please read the Metro Cable replay statement.
I have a couple announcements, actually. The first one is, in compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Send your email. Written comments are always accepted. Please send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts is being recorded and will be broadcast on Sunday, October 18th at 6 p.m. on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County supervisors and City of Sacramento council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the costs of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. And with that, your first item, you're acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District consent matters, items 1 through 5.
All right, thank you so much for that. Is there any board member that would like to pull any item for further discussion or make a comment on any item? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion on items 1 through 5.
Jeff Harris, I'll move consent.
Okay, I have a motion from Director Harris and a second. I believe Susan Peters was the first voice I heard. Roll call vote, please.
Director Bruins?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Howell? Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
McGarvey?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Orozco?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Viegas? Warren? And Frost. And just for the record, I'd like to announce that there are no public comments for items 1 through 5.
Great, thank you for that reminder. How about item number 6? Do we have any electronic communications for comments from the public on issues not on the posted agenda, and or are there any callers on the line that would like to make a public comment?
We did not receive any verbal comments or written comments from the public.
All right, in that case, we'll go ahead and close public comment for non-agenda items and move on to District consent matters, item number 7.
Acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District.
Director Bruins, I move approval of consent.
Thank you, Director Bruins. Is there a second?
Second.
Member
Is that
McGarvey?
Director Cerna?
Oh, Cerna? I'm sorry. Okay.
It wasn't Cerna, but Cerna will second.
Thanks for stepping up, Phil.
Director Bruins?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Howell? Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
McGarvey?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Roscoe?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Villegas? Warren? And Frost. And the motion carries with the members present. And there are there were no public comments on that item as well.
Keep forgetting that part. Thank you. All right, so that will bring us on to our district separate matters, item number 8, Confluence Regional Partnership Program Annual Report for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. And I believe Christoph Dobson is the presenter on this item.
That's me. Well, this is a little bit surreal. I'm presenting to a board that's all on the phone and not in the chambers. It's a little bit odd. Good morning, Chair and board members. I'm going to present to you our annual report for the Confluence Regional Partnership Program. And this program is basically a grant program set up to give grants to worthy projects that are closely tied to our mission, vision, and values. There's up to $7 million available over the course of a fiscal year. The funding comes from non-rate, non-fee revenue, and some examples of that are when we collect interest on our reserves, also the sale of an asset like a surplus property, or the sale of commodities like biogas or recycled water. Your boards approve policies that provide the guidelines for how we allocate and spend this funding back in 2017. And the program, it's broken up into 4 major areas. And I'm just going to quickly go through the amount of funding that was obligated in each of those areas. So the first one is our foundational program, I would say. This is the one that has to be funded before any others are if there isn't enough funding in the program. There is plenty of funding this year, by the way. The sewer lifeline rate assistance is for our lower income customers. They get a reduction on their bill, and that obligation was about $2.3 million. The second area is environmental stewardship. There are 2 subcategories there. One is the American River Parkway and watershed management, and that was at about $650,000 this year. And the septic tank conversion program is at $127,000. The third major area is regional economic development, and we obligated $467,000 this year. And then the public education area at $258,000.
And Chairperson Howell has just entered the chambers.
I'll go ahead and continue for the moment. So I'm going to just highlight a little bit on each of the major program areas. This is the Environmental Stewardship American River Parkway. Of course, we do a lot of work with Sacramento County Parks in the Parkway itself with American River Parkway cleanup. But in this case, we've talked a fair amount about those in the past. I wanted to just touch on a couple of other projects. One is a collaborative effort with the Regional Water Board and the local stormwater partnership, SASD and Regional Sand, of course, and also county parks. And we are basically looking at the E. coli levels in the American River, Lower American River, and trying to find out the source of those. So we've been taking samples the last couple of years, and we're hopeful to have a report back on basically where to start narrowing in on the source of those this coming spring. Other side, on the right side of the page there, you can see it might be a little hard to make out, but this particular effort is sheriff's departments expanding their ability to recover vessels and, in this case, vehicles from a river. This is actually, you can see, it's a sonar image of a car that's at the bottom of the Sacramento River, and this project basically gives them some equipment to not only locate a vessel or a vehicle, but to remove it from the river. And you can imagine the the hazardous waste that is in those vehicles: gasoline, oil, metals, paints, batteries, all kinds of things that are leaching into the river. And this is an opportunity to get to find that and quickly get it out. All right, next program. I actually did a presentation this summer on the septic tank conversion, so I'm going to keep it. Yes.
Would you please also let the board know about the funding that we have given to the county and the city for the American River?
I started with that. It was when you were helping Carrie.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So the septic tank conversion program is one that I've spoken about before. There are two basic components to it. One is the individual property owners, so anyone, both businesses or homeowners or even a nonprofit can come in if they're trying to get their septic system or get off of their septic system and onto the public sewer, and we provide grants between $10,000 and $20,000 depending on the income level of the applicant. And that can go towards both impact fees as well as the construction part of the work. So we did 16 individual properties this year. That's a big deal. These are very hard, very expensive projects when you're taking them on individually. And then also, as you know, we're working on several communities to bring them into the sewer system as well, into the public sewer system. The next topic or area is our regional economic development. We basically have grants to offset impact fees. So when a business comes in to get their business started and they have to pay all the various fees, we can offset some of those impact fees for the sewer system. It's a sliding scale based on the number of jobs that you create. You can get an impact fee reduction anywhere from 15 to 50% of the impact fee. This shows we had a total of 33 grants between the two districts, about $467,000, and the number of jobs that those businesses created was 539. The majority, we tend to see a lot of restaurants take advantage of this program, and then we've also had some larger grant recipients. There was an educational facility, a healthcare facility, and also a hotel.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have any money that can be used to help the businesses because of the coronavirus problems?
Well, the way we've addressed that at this point in time is by identifying businesses that have been impacted, and we've done some rate reductions for them. So that's the way we've addressed that. And each time there's a new health order that comes out that changes how businesses are allowed to operate, we relook at it and then determine which businesses would be eligible for the program. And there's anywhere from a 100% reduction, a 75% reduction, or a 50% reduction, depending on the business.
Okay, thank you. I was hoping we were doing something along that line. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Christoph, this is Director Roscoe. I have actually promoted the rate relief program or the relief system through West Sacramento, but I'm wondering, is that still open for applications, or I know we're treated differently, but I wasn't sure if there was a timeline associated with that.
Could you repeat the last part, the question? What was the question?
Yes, I'm wondering, are people still eligible, or is the timeline expired on the radio assistance program?
Okay, that program is still going. We are continuing to provide the discounts. It just depends on the type of business they are and whether they meet the requirements. So we take a basic cut at it and identify certain categories of businesses, and then there is also a possibility if someone who is not caught through that net can call in and request a reduction once we determine whether that's appropriate or not.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to public education. These are just the list of some of the projects that we've funded, a number of very interesting projects. You're all probably familiar with Powerhouse Science Center, and the new name for that, I believe, is Museum of Science and Curiosity. So they've had a name change and branding. Sacramento Splash, we've been in a 3-year funding agreement with them. This was the 3rd year, so this will be the last year of that. It was kind of some bridge funding for them. We've been working with Access Sacramento on some high school public service announcements. So the high school kids put together videos and they incorporate our key messages like the fog message or mercury or the wipes messages, and make little public service announcements, and then we provided the prizes for that. Soil-Borne Farms, we're working with them on water resource education. Sierra Nevada Journeys, Hands in the River, is a program that we really like. They do education, science education in our schools, and they have a classroom component, and then they also bring the kids out into the field, into the environment to experience it there. Of course, it's a little modified during COVID, but that's the normal approach. We also have this Show the Flow tour. It actually hasn't happened. It's been postponed a couple times due to the coronavirus also, but this is an opportunity to teach landscape designers how to design river-friendly landscaping. And then another partnership that we have with Splash, we're using them in kind of a mini project to help us plan for the future of the Nicholas Dairy educational program. And with that, I just want to basically sum this up. A couple of points on the program itself. There's a lot of great people and organizations out there with great ideas, and sometimes they just need a little boost to get their program moving. And so we're happy to be able to help out. They're always very thankful and appreciative of our funding when it helps them to move forward. So I wanted to take the time just to read a quote. It's a lot of text there, so I'm just going to read it, and I don't know if everyone has it in front of them. Sierra Nevada Journeys is sincerely grateful for Regional San's continued support of our mission and belief in the work that we do for Sacramento's youth. The funding we received this year from Regional San has made a notable difference to our organization. Despite the turbulence of 2020, Sierra Nevada Journeys has been able to provide engaging, hands-on science lessons on watershed health to thousands of Sacramento area elementary students, primarily from underserved communities. Thanks to committed partners like you, we were able to work with students and families through the spring semester's school shutdown and ensure that we're there for these students this fall and beyond. And that's from Eaton Dunkelberger. He is the CEO of Sierra Nevada Journeys. And I'll just leave it. This is a photo of, obviously it's a pre-COVID photo, but these are some of the kids that got to experience the Hands on the River program, and they're out there. I believe this is the American River. And with that, I'll answer any additional questions or comments.
Let me add a couple of things. In the American River area, that we have also funded couple of areas. One is what the county provides through the parks. that we have provided monies for the cleaning of the homeless encampments that they do. They have an agreement with one of their contractors, and so we provide funding there. The other one that we also have provided monies for is the maintaining of the toilets in the north area that the city has operated. And so we've committed, I think, up to $100,000 last year, although I'm not sure all of that money was used, perhaps maybe $70,000 or $80,000 that they submitted the reimbursements for. So that was there for the homeless to use so that the river is kept clean. So those two programs combined, they're probably in the 300,000 plus range that's included in that investments that we made. The other one that is not shown necessarily, but the numbers, we're still working on the numbers. For example, Freeport, that we sewered that community. Early this year, that project was done. There's a big amount of that is a grant. There's roughly $3 million some change that we got the grant from the state, but there's a portion that the Regional San and SASD funded to help make that project a reality. And that number isn't necessarily shown as a septic tank contribution area, because we're still tallying up the numbers. And the next year, when we do the report, that we'll have a better handle on that. So I just want to add those two areas as well, so that you got a better complete picture of the entire program.
Prabhakar,
Thank
Jeff
you.
Harris. Jeff, I'd like to make a comment.
Was it Director Harris that had a question?
Yeah, Director Harris.
Go ahead. Could you please repeat that? I don't think I heard the question.
Yeah, I didn't ask it yet. Actually, it's a comment, Prabhakar, on the American River Stewardship. I'd like to say that the Confluence program has been very beneficial to District 3 in the Hot Shots program and the North 8th Street Shelter. Thankful for the program in that the homeless use the restroom facilities at the North 8th Street Shelter to the tune of about 10,000 flushes per month. So very significant usage, and also the E. coli study on the Lower American River is absolutely essential to help us manage what's going on in the riverine area, to understand the source of the contamination so that we can start to work quickly to eliminate it. So again, very grateful for the Confluence program. Thank you, Christoph.
You're welcome.
And also, with respect to the E. coli study, we not only funded the Regional San's share of it, we're partners in the study. It's a consortium of folks that are doing it, and we also funded the county parks' share as well. I think roughly $70,000 or so last year, and I think we made again a commitment this year to continue that funding. So we want to see that study through, because we really need to understand where the E. coli is coming from, so that we can address properly, because it's a recreation is it online there, and we want to make sure that we understood where the contamination is coming from.
I think that's important because.
Cheryl, this is Director Cerna. This is Director Cerna. I would too like to thank Christoph for the presentation, and I just want to point out, I appreciate Director Harris's comments about some of the specifics in terms of the benefit we're deriving from our investments. But I just wanted to point out that, I know we're all in our homes a lot more than we'd like these days, but the American River Parkway, we have to remember during this pandemic, is probably a more valued outlet now more than ever in terms of people desiring to do individual, whether it's biking or running. And so it's very important that we continue to have these types of collaborative approaches to maintaining the parkway. This is exactly what I think we envisioned as a board when we had some lively debates and discussions a few years back in terms of how best to make the connection with the health of the Parkway. And so I too want to extend my congratulations and thanks to everyone that's involved in these thoughtful investments.
I think it's important that we also keep in mind that the other benefit to the district, separate from the benefit to the region from the Parks and Rec standpoint, is that if we don't determine where the E. coli is coming from, we are the logical people that get blamed for it. So it's very, very important to the district so that we know that we are not the generators of E. coli downstream.
It does not look like, we have gotten early results that does not look at all related to sanitation districts. There's some other couple of hotspots that we're investigating. I think hopefully by the end of this fiscal year, we'll have some results. There's continued work going on.
We're the logical person. We're the logical organization
right.
that the finger would get pointed at if we can't prove that it's coming from somewhere else.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to mention to Director Cerna. Director Kennedy, go ahead.
I'd prefer we do Zoom calls in the future. These phone calls are very difficult. But first I want to say, thank you to Director Spreck. That's, above and beyond, and I appreciate that. The one thing I do want to say is thank you to Prabhakar and staff. We've had discussions over the last few years about regional SAN's role in economic development. Prabhakar and I had a recent call, and it's not a traditional role of regional SAN, but I really appreciate the fact that we're stepping up and seeing what we can do to be part of the solution to the economic slide that we're seeing due to COVID. So just wanted to encourage you to continue to look at ways of where we can play that role, and I really do appreciate staff's support in that effort. Thank you.
I thank you for your comments, but I also want to remind, you are our ears and eyes, we try to do as much work with your economic development staff. One of the things that I want to note is your board has authorized us to spend up to $1 million in discounting the impact fees so that we can attract businesses. This last fiscal year, we were only able to, discount about $450,000. It's not that we didn't want to do; it's just with the people. We rely on your individual cities and the counties when the people come to open the businesses, so to educate them, so that they can avail these opportunities. I think if some of you that are on the board, when we established this program, you remember that we have a reserve in case there's big businesses that are coming in that really go beyond this $1 million, grant that we have. We have the ability to bring back to your board's approval separately. For example, if any large businesses, the business that would want to come in and start up. So we want to try and encourage that. So please advise your staff, those of you that are in the cities, and so that if there are opportunities, all they have to do is just call us and talk to us.
Prabhakar, this is Director Orozco. Can you hear me?
Yes, I could. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to thank Christoph, all of the staff for the presentation. In West Sacramento, we are fortunate to have passed what we call the West Sac Home Run, and one of the facets of the program is that kids in our community, not only they start with college savings accounts for all kindergartners, but they also get high quality internship opportunities as well as free college education or automatic admittance and to community college. But the educational portion of the home run is important to us because we're looking for internships and opportunities for kids to engage. And when I heard Christoph mention the opportunities to do PSAs and whatnot, I think, we share the river with Sacramento and have an important obligation to ensure that everything on our side is, that we're investing in being part of the solution as well. So I would love for staff to follow up after this meeting to see how we can engage as well in continuing those investments. And thank you so much for this information. I can't wait to give it to my council this evening.
Thank you. I think that's the end of the presentation, if no other comments from the board members.
So we can go on to the next item.
No action is needed on this item. It's just simply an update.
Right, so we can move to the next item.
Right. Item number 9 is acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Sewer District, district separate matters, miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
I just have a couple of quick announcements. We will not have our regular board meeting on October 28th, but we will have a staffing services subcommittee meeting on 28th. We'll review the changes to the master interagency agreement. We are close to completing all the negotiations with the contributing agency member agencies, and so we want to highlight you what the changes are for the subcommittee to review. So we'll have that on October 28th, probably an hour to hour and a half meeting is what I would imagine at this point. Our next board meeting would be on November 18th. It's unfortunate this falls at kind of an odd Wednesday. Our meetings are second and fourth Wednesdays, but second Wednesday is the Veterans Day, and the fourth Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving, so we're not going to have either one, but in between November 18th is our next board meeting. That's all I have comments-wise.
Okay, we can move on to our next item.
Acting as your Sacramento Area Sewer District, district consent matters, items 10 and 11.
Do we have any questions from the board members?
This is Jeannie Burrows. I move we approve consent items 10 and 11.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, which member seconded?
Director McGarvey?
McGarvey?
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. So I have a first from Director Bruins and a second from Mr. McGarvey. Bruins?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Frost? Howell?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
McGarvey?
Aye.
And Hume.
Aye.
And the motion passes, and there are no verbal or written comments on these items as well.
Okay, move to the next item.
I believe the next items on the agenda are communications received in file, item 12 and 13.
No actions are needed on that. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to take, but usually there aren't any.
Yeah, Peters has a question.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, Peters has a question.
Yes.
Thank you. A question for staff. When is the Mission Avenue pipeline work going to conclude?
I'm going to, Rosemary Clark is on the phone. I'm going to have her give you an update. Rosemary, could you please give an update?
Sure. We expect the mission trunk to be done late January, early February next year.
Okay. Will there be any road work involved? I don't remember.
There might be in spots where we did some insertion, but we can get back to you with the exact locations.
Okay. I'm just wondering about getting the paving done in cold weather, and it's been quite a messy process, and my office has had quite a few complaints of just we're tired of this sort of thing. So any information you can send to me would be helpful in answering those questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll reach out. Thank you.
Any other questions? If there aren't any, as Prabhakar already said, our next meeting is November 18th.
November 18th. That's correct.
And thank you all for your patience with my tardiness. And I think we're adjourned.
Thank you.